what are the key things that if I could shift my thinking, my attitude, my approach is going to unlock the door so it doesn't feel so overwhelming and gives me some really practical tools to move forward.
Hello, and welcome to the AI for Good podcast, where we make AI work for you so that you can do more with less. My name is Dylan Bose. I'm here with Sam Wheatley. And Sam, you and I have been talking about how when we're getting started with new clients or just people that we know talking about AI who are maybe really new to it, one of the things we've realized is that before we even start talking about the tools and what's available and what they're capable of doing with the tools, it really actually requires a mindset shift to be done before you can even be open to like playing around with the tools. Yeah. So we've come up with these 3 mindset shifts that I thought we could talk about here today.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand too. One of the things we hear first when we start talking about AI is people talk about feeling overwhelmed. And we think these 3 shifts really help you get a handle on how to approach AI in a way that's manageable and it doesn't lead you overwhelmed, or because it's just a fire hose of information right now. Like everywhere you turn, tons of information, overwhelming, even to those of us who are trying to follow along. It's just way too much, way too quick. And so we're not here to sort of give you the latest, greatest tool, but we're really trying to, like Dylan said, what are the key things that if I could shift my thinking, my attitude, my approach is going to unlock the door so it doesn't feel so overwhelming and gives me some really practical tools to move forward.
Absolutely. So let's get right into them. So number 1, we've said is that what you know now no longer makes you special in the marketplace. So let's unpack that.
That's so encouraging, right? Like, such a lovely thought. Like,
you're all okay. You, dear listener, you're special. You're special, but you're just not any more special than everybody else.
So what do you mean by that? You're not special anymore. My kindergartner self is rebelling at that thought.
Yeah. Well, I think in up until 2 years ago, the knowledge that you could gain and then retain and recall set you apart as a more valuable member in the economy. I'm talking about like purely sort of market forces here. Obviously not spiritual value, but just in terms of...
We're not talking about ontology here. We're talking about practicality.
Exactly. We could talk about that later.
Yeah.
That's our other podcast. I'm just kidding. But realizing now that your knowledge now no longer is that sort of asset is not the same type of asset. Okay. It's not completely gone, obviously, but now everybody else can have the same access to the same information at the same rate with the ease of access. And, you and I were talking about how is that kind of different from the internet revolution? So I think it's important to sort of tease that out as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the end of professions, basically. Like, there's no professional knowledge that is locked up behind gatekeepers that keep you out. Traditionally, we've thought about professions as these sort of guilds left over from the Middle Ages. And so to be a lawyer or a doctor, or hopefully the doctors still have professional knowledge. But the idea is that these guilds no longer are the be-all, end-all holders of the information. That there is access to those privatized, specialized knowledge that can be gained by almost anybody now. Is that what we're talking about, Dylan?
Exactly. And gained instantly and gained, because, I think you could say, well, look, in the age of the internet has been around for 40 years or whatever. And like people could access information that way, but to collate and compile and apply it to your specific need in real time. That's what's crazy about right now. To be able to say, I need to insert this expertise into this project that I'm working on. I can't go take a course.
Right.
I don't have 20 hours to take a course. I don't have the resources to hire a consultant to help with it. Can I bone up in 5 minutes, at least enough in the piece that there's this gap right here?
Yeah.
To keep moving on in my project.
Right. I mean, you can explain, you created a 30-day MBA program for yourself.
Yeah. That's exactly right. I realized that I just lacked a lot of basic business knowledge. And so one morning I just asked, I told ChatGPT to ask me 20 questions to gauge my level of understanding of business terms. It was pretty low. And then to tailor a course, a 30-day course. And I was like, every day I'll check in on this thread and we'll pick it up from where I left off. And then like it even gave me quizzes at the end. So then like the day after, if I noticed like if I missed a question on the quiz, it would sort of like subtly reintroduce.
Right.
It's just a private tutor for one discrete field of knowledge that is tailored to like the need that I had in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, private tutor is really, we keep talking about this. There's sort of this ancient future kind of model of that AI is opening up. One is like, it almost is like a pre-modern Greek era where you have a tutor, somebody that conveys their wisdom to you.
Yeah.
And again, that used to be a very privatized, elitist kind of way of education.
Oh, you didn't grow up with a governess, Sam?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
I went to mass, Ford inspired school education,
The conveyor belt. Yeah.
conveyor belt.
Same.
Which is, again, there were advantages to that era where lots of people were able to have access that had never had access. That was commendable. But it also left out some things in the education that actually AI is opening up again. Like I can pursue, like you're saying, I can pursue a line of inquiry that I find interesting and actually become an expert in it to a great degree. I mean, our own careers over the last few years have been this, where we've learned how to become growth marketers, and if you talked to us 5 years ago, that's not the way we would have defined our professional lives.
Yep. And the mindset shift. So, and by the way, I don't like, at least I'm speaking for myself here. Like none of these are value statements. I think we're just describing what is the case. So good or bad or just whatever it is, this is the reality now. But I was going to say, you can hear that like what is no longer special, and you can rebel against it. Or you can feel sad about it or whatever, you can obviously feel any type of way. But I think part of what the mindset shift is saying, if this is the case now, how can I use that to my advantage? And like you're saying, pursue topics of interest that maybe were not available to you before, hobbies or just research topics or whatever it is. Or look, I want to move up in my company and I want to improve myself. Like, what are the five areas of growth that I can sort of work on in the next year so that I can really level up my knowledge and my expertise and all of this stuff?
That's great. So let's drill down on the practicalities of that. So how does this mind shift? I just created a new word, which you don't like, but this mind shift,
I don't mind it.
where we are no longer special snowflakes, but everybody has access to all the information. What practically does that make with addressing the overwhelming situation of AI?
Yeah, I think it gives to shift your mindset, to do the mind shift means like you now have the ability to gain information that was maybe locked up in a particular guild, like you're saying before.
Yeah.
And so you just start to imagine, like in daydream, like, well, if I knew X, Y, and Z, I would be unstoppable or something like that, like whatever that is. That might help you sort of move past the feeling of overwhelm and into the feeling of excitement and opportunity.
Yeah. And curiosity.
It's
sort of the beginner mind idea that, okay, you now have this tool, whatever interface you're using, whether it's the free version or the upgraded version, pick your poison. They're all going to give you this same access point.
Yep.
But then that curiosity can just explore it. Like, what do I really need to know if I wanted to be a better marketer or husband or parent, or who are the leading experts that I should be listening to? Yes, it's similar to the internet age where you could do that. The difference here, the internet area was like you walked into a room that was just full of like hundreds of people all shouting at the same time. It was like a carnival barker where everybody's trying to like get you to come to their table. The difference with AI is it's like going into a library or a museum with a guide. And so the guide isn't perfect. I'm not saying like the AI guide is perfect. It has its own bias and problems and things like that. But it is a radically different experience of going to a museum or a library with a guide and going to a carnival where everybody's yelling at the same time.
Totally. That's a great picture. Yeah, to paint the difference there. And I think it captures that feeling, really, really well.
So, the other practical thing about understanding you're not special is nobody else is either. The playing field has been leveled. And so, yes, other people have different experiences. That's just life. The question is, though, what's keeping you out of some of that ability to compete or to do things or to learn things is not your experience. As before, it's not that knowledge that you went to a special school and you learned this special knowledge. Maybe, those relationships and that kind of thing are super important, but it's not the knowledge itself that's keeping you out.
Absolutely. And if the knowledge is off the table, it's the how do you use the knowledge?
Correct.
So that's where we said a million times, but like wisdom, creativity, big picture thinking, that kind of stuff. That's what really makes a difference.
Great.
Should we move on to number 2?
Yeah. What's number 2?
Number 2 is time is decoupled from value.
So what do you mean by that?
So it means that I think in the past, we associated the time it took to complete a task with how valuable it was, in terms of billing a client or just the work that you did, the quality of the work that you did. If you spent longer on X, it would be more valuable and it would cost more,
Right.
And what we're seeing is that is no longer the case. You can now do extremely high quality work in 30 seconds that took, you pick a number, but it took 8 hours to do before this.
Yeah.
Does that mean that you're doing, but what you have, the mind shift that you have to do is like emotionally releasing that sense that if I did this quickly, it isn't as valuable. And it's hard to do.
Yeah. This is hard to do. And especially when you're working with clients to say, well, how long did that take you?
Yeah.
Well, really, it took me 15 minutes, but it also took me knowing how to use this tool to get to that 15-minute productivity. You can't even use this tool yet. So there's value. in me being able to use the tool to get the output. But it's not just that I put in 8 hours and I can charge you 8 hours times my hourly rate
Right.
and get a reasonable fair share.
Yeah. And because, I mean, I remember people talking about this pre AI, but just from like, if you're like a logo designer, if you're like an extremely talented logo designer, and people, you know, like the story they would tell is like a client would say, make me a logo. And I just sit down and sketch it and be like, that'll be $30,000. And the client would say, what? It took you 5 minutes. And it's like, no, it took me 45 years to make it. But, so it's like, it's actually all of that experience that is, you know, contributing to the value of the work that you're doing. So yeah, like you're going to get a better output when you have a better input. So you're going to have to sort of learn what that balance is. And we never ever advocate for laziness or removing the human element or anything like that. Go back and listen to our episode about why ads for AI are terrible, because that's like my main complaint. Like, it's so stupid that they're trying to sell people being lazy. I don't know, but that's not my experience with it, and that's not what we recommend.
Well, I mean, exactly. So the flip side is also true. This is like a math formula. You know, just because you spend a lot of time.
Well, I was told there would be no math.
The flip is also true. Like, just because you spend a lot of time on something doesn't make it valuable.
Yeah, totally. And we all know what that's like. The busy work that you feel like you're compelled to do for something, for some reason, or just some people have a little bit more of a natural inclination to do that, you know, than others do. So, you know, when you're sort of assessing this mind shift in yourself, you're going to have to like start where you are, you know, and just kind of think about it. But, you know, yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, coming from a music production background, like there are tools that I've learned how to use that I'm like, oh my gosh, this task used to take so freaking long to do. And now there's just a plugin that does that, like aligns the plosives and the different vocal takes or something, so they don't like go out of phase. I made that up, but like there's like, but things like that you are like, oh, I used to have to manually do this, you know. But so it feels like you're getting too much benefit out of it or something, and it makes you feel like, is what I'm contributing to it less valuable now? And so it's just hard to do that.
But if you also, the mind shift of this is very important to understand, like, okay, I can do now in an hour what might have taken me a week to do previously. Mm-hmm. What am I doing with that gain? You know, what am I doing with that gain? Am I using it to like approach this work in an even more creative or thoughtful human way? Mm-hmm. Or am I just using it as a productivity tool? I mean, there's a lot of writing recently about the trap of productivity. And this AI is definitely a productivity tool. Like it makes me more productive. Yeah. By tens or hundreds. Mm-hmm. Small teams can do what big teams used to take to do. Yep. But the challenge will always be, what am I using that productivity gain to accomplish? Yeah. And there are several trade-offs that I think are valuable. One is it could lead to greater, you know, balance between my work and home life. It could lead to greater economic benefit. It could lead to lots of very positive outcomes. But if it's just productivity, it ultimately will strip your humanity. And so understanding that there's a decoupling of time and value, the question then becomes, how do I use that gain to actually invest in the more human parts of my work and my life?
Really well said. I totally agree with that. I totally agree. Should we go to number 3?
Yeah. What's our third?
The third one is, if you can dream it, you can build it. So, and kind of what we mean by that is, even if you don't have a technical background, there are now tools that are available that can solve very discrete pain points for you, that are so you can tailor it exactly to your business case that is solving just one simple problem. Because one of the things that we have found frustrating in our lives is like this sense where if you're using some SaaS tool, like some software, and it's trying to be everything. It's trying to, it's like the Jetsons, like the little robot that just does everything. And it's like, I don't need to spend all that money to have this software that does everything in my whole work life. Like, I want to just have something that solves this one problem for me, and I can build it myself now. So like,
to your specifications, this is like, again, the shift from what we're just coming out of, which we're still in. The future's not evenly distributed. Of like these software SaaS companies that are doing everything. They're the jack of all trades, the Swiss Army knife, and it's almost too much. It's too overwhelming. We've had experiences working with these software companies, and it's like, I don't want you to do that. But I want you to do this one little thing. Yeah. And it won't do that one little thing because it's not valuable to them, but it's valuable to me. So the shift here with AI and the opportunity with understanding that, you can build it. If you can dream it, you can build it, is like, you can solve your own problem. You can be bespoke in your solutions. Even with some of the tech giants, you can tailor them in unique ways or mimic them for your own use.
I mean, we had so many situations come up where it was like, we really want, like, in order to serve our customers, we really want to do X, Y, and Z. But then it was like to thread the needle between the different. Well, okay, this software offers this and this offers this, but do they talk to each other? They don't really, but they're working on it. But and so then you're kind of like stitching together, workflows that are like not playing well because they don't really have the incentive to like play that well together.
So again, this is another one of those back to the future. It's like you're able to be a craftsman or craftsperson to tailor, your unique solution without having to go to the big monolithic software company to achieve that goal.
Exactly.
Like, in our nonprofit, we had for years this problem with a client management system that just did not work for our use. Now I can envision solutions to that problem that involve not having to pay anybody to solve those problems.
Totally. You can just build your own, like, really lightweight, CRM, and just have it only do what you need it to do. And you can add things and take them away as you go, so like these micro apps and sort of micro SaaS, these words are sort of just so offensive to the ear. Like, but like the point is there. It's really is an exciting time because there are no limitations now to what you can build.
Yeah, and a 50-something and a 30-something can do this. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, previously, I would have been, if this revolution were 30 years ago, the one I lived through, where you had to learn to use a personal computer and code and da-da-da. If I was my age back then, I can't do that.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to learn that. But now, whether you're in your 80s or in your 8, you can do this.
100%. And it's so for our listeners who are feeling overwhelmed, the arching message that you should be receiving from this whole podcast, but like this third point is like, you're gonna be able to do it. Like it's actually the gates are now opening wide open. Like I know you said if this had happened when if you were your age, like, earlier, then you would have just like skipped it. And like I'm saying, I've had many failed and stalled attempts at trying to understand tech stuff.
Yeah.
And so I even like tried really hard to do that. And I just ultimately got to the point where I was like, my brain is just not a coder. I don't have a coder's brain. I don't know what it is. I can't do it. And so I gave up. Yeah. I gave up, in 2012 or something. And then, now I can have this idea for like a little micro app. And I'm just like,
explain what you created just the other day.
Yeah. I wanted to be able to calculate different salaries, easily and quickly based on your location. So it's just a calculator and you just put in the salary and it calculates the take home pay. So like you put in the salary, you put in your dependents, your zip code, how much, like, do you want to have an expensive healthcare plan or not so expensive? Just baseline, right. It gives you a general sense and it just tells you what your monthly take home pay is. And so I'm like, and I literally did it using just, chatting with this app development platform called Replit. So like if you can type words onto a computer, you can build an
just
app.
talk.
Or even talk with audio. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so you're using it's called NLP. It's natural language processing, but it's a fancy term for just saying you're using words to accomplish tasks. So like anybody can do it. If you can dream it, you can build it.
And how long did that take you?
15 minutes, I'd say. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. So yeah. And like, then I show it to friends of mine who actually are software developers and they're like, this is amazing, so, we hope that, I just really hope that is encouraging to our listeners.
Yeah. And these three things we've talked about can sound negative and you can go to a dark place with them as well.
Totally.
But we're trying to half glass full this by showing you like there's opportunity in the overwhelm. It's not it's not like previous. I feel like a lot of the tech industry that is trying to make you feel overwhelmed by some of this technology in order to preserve their own guild here.
Yeah. I could totally see that. Mm-hmm. Even if it's like an unconscious thing that they're doing, I could totally see that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But we can't let them win, Sam. No.
So we're here for you. We're here to help you not feel overwhelmed, to sort of begin this journey of how do I not just increase my productivity, but increase my joy and enjoyment of my work and my life by using AI tools to do, we kind of flippantly say more with less better, but it really is. That's our experience. We've been able to do it far more than we would have done previously. We're able to do it better.
Yep.
And it's also more enjoyable.
100%. Yep. And so if you want to get in touch with us and see if maybe we can help with your workplace, your nonprofit, your startup, your established business, we really want to just help you think strategically about the best way to implement these tools that are out there and build a roadmap for you. So let us know.
On our website, we've just relaunched our website, so you can go there to parallaxpartners.co and see exactly what we're offering. But the first step is always a 30-minute free call. Yep. And there's a booking flow right there for you to click and just give us your email and set up the time. But those 30 minutes are really the most valuable part of this whole process. It's not the solution. It's first of all, us hearing and you articulating what is the thing that if I could solve this, it would change my work.